Marik, you say we dey go Ataa Ayi way.
Charlie, I mean, Ataa Ayi himself has claimed to masterminded and participated in about 38 robberies.
Wow.
Ataa Ayi and his gang, they got tips sometimes, or sometimes they was just stationed at the bank, and they would have someone inside who just monitor and stuff, right? So the person will come back, yo, Charlie, where is Kakisiu? And then they will chase the person to a particular point, and then they will cross. So Ataa Ayi was in the house. Apparently, he was drying his clothes when two policemen came. Are you Ataa Ayi? He said, "I'm friend Ataa Ayi." Yeah. So they kept asking questions, and he said he had his phone in his pocket, and he wanted to take it out. I don't know if the policemen thought it was a gun or whatever. They just held him. Instead of putting him in the car they brought, which was a Tundra or so, I believe, they let him walk from Impraeso down to Nkoko. Whilst he was walking in front of the car they had.
Wow.
And they were playing reggae music. We heard stories that he was a killer, blah, blah, blah. There isn't a single documented incident against Ataa Ayi that he killed even outdoors for him to even kill kids. If you know anyone, any single person who was killed, it's not that you've heard.
Yeah.
If you personally know anyone that Ataa Ayi killed, you can put it in the comments.
It's been a crazy week right here. I told you, those of you who have been watching videos regularly on this channel, I told you that this week, because Ataa Ayi is trending, we'll be tackling his story. We'll go deeper into the story. So yes, welcome to Crime de la Crime, a true crime podcast right here in Ghana, hosted by myself, Headless YouTuber, and my brother,
Taylor Marik.
That's right. And this week, Marik, you say we dey go Ataa Ayi way.
Charlie, I mean, I've been working on this story for a minute. I was going to touch on it maybe next ending of the month, but looks like the opportunity has presented itself. We just have to dig into it.
Right. Let's go.
Headless, before I start, I want everyone watching this to watch this as if they've never heard about Ataa Ayi before.
Why?
There's a lot of stories you might have heard that may not be true.
Okay.
So let's start on a fresh note. Anyway, so there's a lot of information about Ataa Ayi, but there are some basics that people don't know. Like the fact that he was born in Adabraka in 1973.
Okay.
So currently he should be around like 52 or 53, depending on the month he was born.
Okay.
He went to school at the Radiant Way Preparatory School at Odoko. At that time, the family had moved to Odoko.
Okay.
But unfortunately, by class 4, he had to stop schooling. His mother went to the UK, and when his mother went to the UK, he stopped schooling for a lot of reasons. Yeah, and then eventually he kind of fell into bad company. Getting to his 20s, from his teens getting into his 20s, his mother came back.
Okay.
And with the help of his elder sister, he was trained to be a mechanic.
Okay.
Now, Ataa Ayi himself was the last of 8 children.
Okay.
But he was the only child between his mother, who was called Namle Mills, and his father, Ayite Sugar. Okay. That's his father's name. So between the father and mother, he was the only child.
All right.
Right? But he had 7
children.
other siblings.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, like I said, he started as training as a mechanic, and then eventually, you know how mechanics do, start training before you know they start driving.
Yeah.
Without any license. So he learned how to drive.
Okay.
Right? And he started operating as a taxi driver. Now, somewhere along the line, in 1998, he had traveled to Ekropon to go. It was like Rebecca said dropping.
Okay. Someone take dropping from Accra to Ekropon.
Oh, but mind you, those times there weren't like private cars, like
you
know. So people used to travel with taxis like that.
Okay.
Oh, those times people used to travel with taxis like that. Yeah. So because there are even several times that I've had interactions with Uber or Bolt drivers who say, "Oh, someone has hired them to take them to another part of." So it happened. It used to happen. But yeah, so he took the passenger to a Groupon, and then on his way back, he got into an accident. Mind you, the taxi was not his. The taxi had a boss, a real owner, right?
Car
So
owner.
when the taxi got messed up, now he was in debt and he had lost the means to make money.
Right.
So when he eventually came back to Accra after a few weeks or a couple of months, a friend of his came to see him that someone he knows was looking for a driver.
Okay.
And this person's name was Eddie. Right. So it felt like he was going to be the personal driver of Eddie until Eddie sort of introduced him to the idea that he was actually into some sort of criminal activity where they used to steal cars, right?
Yeah.
And then also they used to steal stuff from the boot of private cars. So they'll see a private car, they will look inside, see the boot, and then pick whatever it is from inside. Initially, of course, he wasn't really cool with the idea, but Charlie, he needed money, he was in debt, so kind of like, okay, let's do this. So at the age of like 25, 26, right? And then their first major operation, they got 12 million Ghana cedi, which was in 1999.
That's 12 million old CDs.
Old CDs. This was 1990,
But it was still heavy.
1999. Oh, yeah, but it was heavy. That's 1,200 CDs currently.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at the time, it was still heavy.
At the time,
it was still heavy.
The value is not the same.
No. At the time, it was still heavy.
It was heavy.
It was
yes.
heavy. So, and he got 2.5 million CDs, which now would be 250 Ghana cedis.
Right.
So that was a share.
But please bear in mind that the purchasing power is different.
They're very different.
Very, very different.
Very,
right now,
very
250 CDs, you can't even go out on a date. But
those
back
times
then,
it was big.
CDs, you go feel sport there.
Yeah, it was big. So again, so in this, he literally became he became their driver, getaway driver, sort of.
Okay.
Right. This thing, I want people to really take notice of this. That he was the getaway driver.
Right.
As
so
time goes on,
getaway driver.
Mainly he was the one in charge.
You just sit in the car.
He was the one who drove them, do the action and
when they can't run and come and sit down, then you move.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he was a very good driver. And then there are several stories of their robberies. I'll hit on a few of them that are notable. Like for instance, they had followed a man one time from bank, and that was usually their operation. So that was what they did. They take properties or cash or whatever from cars, or they chase people when they have come out of the banks, stuff like that. That was their main thing. So the Ataa Ayi, and even over time, and his gang, they did not usually go into homes.
Okay.
That was not their modus operandi. Even though there are instances like that, but that was not their main focus.
Their own is you've come from the bank,
Yes.
you are holding bag of money.
And in fact, in the early stages, I think after the first few times that he got introduced to it, he did not sign up for night jobs again. They were doing daylight robbery.
Wow.
So Ataa Ayi was doing daylight robbery. It will probably make sense why his name was feared, because around those times, you would not dare, if you are going to do robbery, you do it in the night. But so there's this instance of this man where he followed from the bank, and then when the man met his wife at the time to hand her the money that he had gone to the bank for. This was about 22 million Ghana cedi, which was about, that would mean currently with 2,200 cedis.
22 million
22
old
million
cedis.
Ghana cedis,
Yeah.
yes. And then once he tried to make the handoff, these guys came from nowhere, took the money from him. Now, in 2001, he would meet his wife,
Okay.
whose name was Elizabeth Imoro. People used to call him Lizzie Imoro. She met
Atai.
Ataa Ayi at a restaurant called Walk-In Chinese restaurant. It used to be at Circle, but for years now they operate at the Terminal 1 at the Accra, the airport.
Okay.
So if you are going to airport, the Terminal 1 down there, you see Walk-In restaurant. Yeah, that's where they are now. And so that's where they met. And then eventually things went from there, and then they became a couple.
Did
But
she know that he was into
at the
that?
time, she didn't know.
Okay.
She didn't know. So, mind you, so here, there's something I forgot. Ataa Ayi's actual name was Raymond Ayi Ayite.
Okay.
In fact, he says that Ataa Ayi was given to him by Kofi Boakye. ACP Nathaniel Kofi Boakye.
Okay.
Right? And even he said it wasn't a name he liked. Right? But Ebekai. So he moved with it. But yes, in 2002, his mechanic, whose name was Yawashantia Jekum, his nickname was Akpo. So Akpo was the one who used to service their motors, like Ataa Ayi's motor. And apparently from Akpo, Ataa Ayi used to, buy motor and sell. So he was the one who serviced the motors, including another gang member or friend of Ataa Ayi, whose name was Nanaya Owusu, who also used to come there, leave his motor, he serviced them and stuff. Somehow, Ajekum is arrested in 2002.
Okay.
His story is that he had gone to visit his mom in Praeso, and then Sawam Stretch, in Koko, sorry.
Koko, yeah.
And
the
then,
top there.
Yeah, the top there. He was there. His mother was sick, and the mother had been taken to a hospital, right? So a church to be prayed for. You know how those times used to be. So he goes to the church. He's sitting down, and then he notices that two men came to sit by him. One on his right side, one on his left side. Or I think one was behind him, actually. And they asked him, "Do you know Ataa Ayi?" And he's like, "Ataa Ayi." They asked him if he was Ataa Ayi. He said no, but he knows Ataa Ayi. So they kept asking questions, and he said he had his phone in his pocket, and he wanted to take it out. For some reason, I don't know if the policemen thought it was a gun or whatever. They just held him, grabbed him, whatever, from the church premises at Impraeso. Now, the story is that instead of putting him in the car they brought, which was a Tundra or so, I believe, they let him walk from Impraeso down to Nkoko. Whilst he was walking in front of the car they had.
Wow.
And they were playing reggae music. So they take him to the Nkoko police station at the time. And at the time, Rosatenga Bio was the one in charge at the Nkoko police station.
Okay.
Since he gets there, for some reason, I don't know if they thought he was Ataa Ayi or so. They just put some guns they had there seized from some operations and put in front of him, and put some talisman on around his neck, and took a picture of him. So that picture came out, and his family was disappointed because they thought, in fact, the police at the time, the police wasn't even sure how Ataa Ayi looked like.
Looks like, okay.
They had heard his name because his name kept coming up in some of these crimes, right? But eventually, they bring him to Accra. He said his sister and his auntie was arrested and put in remand for about 6 months.
Wow. That's the mechanic.
That's the mechanic. So they come to Accra and he starts asking him to take him to places. So he took him to Ataa Ayi's house, Ataa Ayi's mother's house at Achimota.
Okay.
That's where Ataa Ayi used to live at the time. Sometimes they go there, they don't find him, and then he decides that he would then take the police to Nanaya Owusu, who was the accomplice of Ataa Ayi.
Yeah.
So in 2002, they arrested both of them. Mind you, around the same time, they tried to get because it looks like Akpon knew that where Ataa Ayi was. So they took him, or I think Nanaya to Borga, where Ataa Ayi and his wife had gone. They had gone to the funeral, the funeral of the grandfather of his wife.
Okay.
So he was there. I don't know how, but it looks like he got a hint, and they moved to the next town. When the police came, they had moved to the next town. So it was when they came back that they had been told, oh, the police came looking for him, and that is how his wife got to know
The kind of job he
the
does.
kind of job he does.
Wow.
In his own words, the wife was not pissed off or angry. Just told him like, this is what has happened. So what next, or something along those lines.
Hey, ride or die, pound.
You know, and so that was in 2002.
Okay.
Then he comes back to Accra. Obviously, he was there for a couple of months. They come back to Accra, and then in 2003, February 2003. Now this I want people to take note of this particular story or this particular incident, because it will be relevant in the closing. Now, in 2003, they chased a woman whose name was Dora Kumi from, I think she was heading to, when you are coming from Afanko going to St. John's Grammar School,
Okay.
there's a school. So I think she wanted to go and make the turn at Taifa and go and use the road coming to Nsawam. And they accosted, allegedly, Ataa Ayi and his gang, including one Nanaya Razak, the Nanaya Yawusu guy, one Raymond Ame, Samuel Kwekuanan, whose nickname was Samituga, and then one Lamti Anan, right? It is also alleged that Yawasante Ajekumapo, the mechanic, was part of this operation. This was in 2003. Mind you,
But he had been arrested in 2002.
now I will explain why.
Okay.
So this woman, they accosted this woman, like stop in front of the middle of the road, put a gun to his head, told him, and pulled, like he had two girls in the car, they pulled them out of the car, and at the time they took $65,000 and 45 million Ghana cedi, so 4,500 cedis. And at the time, this was 203. The redenomination happened in 2007.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the dollar was lesser then. So let's even peg it as 1 cedi at the time. So 1 to 1. So that was, they stole 6,500 cedis and 4,500 cedis. So when you put it together,
6,500
and 4,500 cedis.
dollars.
So
the dollars was
$6,005. $6,005.
$6,500 or 6,005.
$6,500.
Okay.
And then 4,500 cedis.
Okay.
But at the time, it was the dollars, and the 4,500 was the old Ghana cedi, so
Yes.
45 million.
Yeah.
So when you change it to our currency now, it will be 6,500 and 4,500.
Yeah.
So in total, they stole about 11,000, right? Ghana cedis.
Right.
But obviously, in the old time, would be like 11 million, whatever. So they do this operation, and then in October of 2003, the managing director of a company called Prexim Consult Limited, his name was Bernard. He had sent one of his staff members to go and take money from the stand chart at Opebia. That one to action. Now, again, I've told you before, this was their modus operandi. They got tips sometimes, or sometimes they was just stationed at the bank.
Yeah.
And they would have someone inside who just monitor and stuff. Right? So the person will come back, yo, Charlie, where is Kakisiu? And then they will chase the person to a particular point, and then they will cross.
Yeah.
They usually had 2 cars or 1 car and a motorbike. And Ataa Ayi used to ride a motorbike. So it was either he was riding one of the motorbikes, or he was the driver of the car.
Okay.
Then in May 19, 2004, another one where this one is a big one because it was one of the crimes that got them sentenced.
Okay.
Now, so in May 2004, this one with a different gang that included one Michael Tego. Nanaya Razak was almost in all the crimes. Then Safo Sapon and about 2 or 3 others. So what happened was some members, the cashier and 2 members of the Christ Apostolic Church had gone to take money from a bank at Osu. The money they took from the bank at the time was 56 million Ghana cedis. It was 5,600 cedis.
Okay.
And they were able to get into, like, Ataa Ayi and his gang tried to accost them, but they were able to make their way into the church. And when they got into the church, they ran away. So the gang started looking for them. Whilst looking for them, they got into the church and entered a room where they saw people counting money. Right? And at the time, the money they were counting was about 662 cedis in current Ghana cedis, right?
Okay.
So at the
662
time, 62 cedis.
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 Okay.
Yes. So at the time it was like 6,000 whatever. And so they took that money and took several other items. And then they left. Right? Then in August,
Did they leave with the money?
they weren't able to get that 56,000.
Okay. They didn't get the money that the people brought
Brought
from the bank.
Okay.
Okay.
They didn't get that money. Then in August of that, in 2004, this one, so there used to be an advertising company in Nigeria called DB Networks.
Okay.
And their managing director at the time, I believe, his name was Mr. Enyi Odigbo. Mr. Enyi Odigbo and 2 others, prominent people from Nigeria, came to Ghana in 2004 at the time to help strategize campaign marketing for then Prof. Atamils.
Okay.
He had been elected as the flag bearer for the NDC.
Okay.
So I think they met at the castle, and when they left, they were going to Osu, somewhere in Osu where they had their hotel to go and rest or something. I don't know how Ataa Ayi and the gang got to know, but they went there, accosted them, told the driver to come out, took several documents and whatever from the car, and they actually fired gunshots at the time, and they left. So now all this goes by. All these stories I've said, they are not the only crimes. Like I've said, there were other crimes, but these were the ones that were highlighted.
Right.
Ataa Ayi himself has claimed to have done over 38, masterminded and participated in about 38 robberies.
Wow.
Right. So on the average, let me get to his arrest. But in 28th February 2005, Ataa Ayi at the time was living at a Shaiman. But on this particular day, he was at his sister's house at around Nungwa, Tishinungwa. The house is supposedly around the Nungwa coastal. For those who know the area, there used to be a coastal called Nungwa coastal. I don't know if it's still there.
Still there.
It's still there, right?
Yeah.
So around that area. So what happened was they had, I think, a family member who had passed or so. And the sister was busy, and he wanted Ataa Ayi to come and take care of the house or something along those lines. So Ataa Ayi moved there with the wife 6 days before this particular 28th February day. Whilst they were there, a tenant in the house and the daughter of his sister got into a quarrel, right? And the daughter got the police involved to come and arrest the tenant.
The tenant, okay.
Now, when the mother came back, that is, Ataa Ayi's sister came back from wherever she went to the police station to bail the guy, because in Ataa Ayi's words, the mother realized that, or her sister realized that what her daughter was doing was wrong. So around the time when the mother did that, the daughter got into some sort of a fight with the sister and insulted her. And Ataa Ayi got pissed off, like, You are insulting your mother. What if the tenants over here pick up this character because you have easily insulted your mother? Then they would also insult your mother. So he got pissed off.
Was the woman the landlady?
The landlady. He was so Ataa Ayi's sister was the landlady.
Was the landlady of the house.
Of the house.
Okay. Yeah.
So Ataa Ayi got pissed off and sort of he beat the
girl.
the niece. And he thought, oh, you mean we're displaying the niece, so it was normal. Somehow the girl, the niece, it wasn't a girl, it was a grown person. The niece goes to report the Ataa Ayi to the police for assault.
Okay.
So Ataa Ayi was in the house. Apparently, he was drying his clothes when two policemen came. And they mentioned him, are you Ataa Ayi? Said, your friend Ataa Ayi, yeah. Because at that time, like I said, he did not want like that name.
Yeah.
Now, so it was during the time they were trying to effect the arrest when the policeman realized this is Ataa Ayi. And so that's why he asked him, are you Ataa Ayi? And so that is when they arrested him.
Wow. So they didn't even come to arrest him because of
no,
or anything.
It was because of the assault. And it was just two or three policemen. It wasn't like they found is where anything, if you've heard any story where they said it was a tip-off, blah, 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 and they found him because someone pointed, is not true. There was no, I mean, they were looking for him. Mind you, at the time, in 2002, when they were looking for him and had gone to the north of stuff, I think he's probably the only person that this has ever been done to. He's the only robber whose face was plastered on billboards across 5 regions of Ghana looking for him. And in fact, in the first instance, the first time his images were released to the media, it wasn't even him.
Oh.
It was an image of someone else.
They didn't have his picture.
They didn't have his
know
picture.
What he looked
they
like.
didn't know what he looked like. And that is probably how come they went to arrest Akpo.
Okay.
Right? So it is in this day, on this particular day, is when they arrested him. But prior to that, they had arrested 2 other members. One whose name was Imputa or whatever. He was part of their gang. Right? And they already had Danaya Owusu and Ajekum. Akpo. So Akpo had been in remand from that time until Ataa Ayi was arrested in 2005. We've come to know just last year, Akpo was released and acquitted from after serving about 20 whatever years, because he was jailed in 2010 together with some of the gang. Now, when he was arrested, Ataa Ayi was arrested, and I think he was given the chance to talk to journalists or whatever. The police sort of paraded him to talk to the journalists and so. And he said that what they used to do was they used to, so like some of the cars, it wasn't just money they stole, like I said. They used to steal cars and stuff.
Yeah.
So the cars they stole, they used to sell it to a man at the Konkoma market called Mr. Adams.
Okay.
And Adams would usually sell it in Burkina Faso and whatever. They also used to hire guns from one Alaji at Nima. They used to hire AK-47. There's a rifle called G3, and then pistols. So Ataa Ayi was probably the first armed robber and with a syndicate who went to robbery with high-powered rifles or guns. They had pistols at the time. Those times, people were using the mechanic ones, the local ones. They were actually using the proper ones, right? Mind you, so from Ataa himself, when he started doing the car robberies, they weren't going with guns. But one day they went to do like a robbery, a boot robbery, and they saw a gun they believe the car was owned by a policeman. So that's how they started using guns, right? Because I mean, they started doing high target crimes and stuff, robberies, and they needed to protect themselves.
Right.
So that's when they started. None of them used to none of them had actually shot a gun before.
Okay.
Said sometimes they used to go to the forest to go and just shoot a gun and stuff, just to practice. So now, fast forward to 206. That is when his trial starts and whatever. And in 206, he's jailed for 70 years.
70 years.
Yes.
Okay.
This sentence was given to him by Justice Paul Bafuboni, who just few days ago came to explain why he gave him the 70 years.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in total, Ataa Ayi is serving 160 years now.
Okay.
The reason being that, like I mentioned I highlighted some two crimes, robberies that happened, right? So, and in 208, he and the gang were sentenced to jail for, I think it was 20 years for the CAC, the Christ Apostolic incident.
Yeah.
And then in 2010, that is when he and the gang were also sentenced again, I think 70 years for robbery and conspiracy, for the Madame Dora case, the one where they took the dollars.
Yeah,
right?
On the highway.
On the highway.
Yeah.
So now 70, 20, 70. That's 160 years, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it would make sense why he's jailed for 160 years, but Justice Bafuboni said
he gave him 70 years.
Because in actual fact, the first time he was sentenced, it was 70 years.
Okay.
So these other ones came in because
Later.
of the other crimes. So, and then he was put at the Akamfo maximum security jail in Cape Coast. I think right now he's moved to Insawam also. That is generally the story of Ataa Ayi.
Okay.
Where he grew up, the robberies they did, and blah blah blah. Now, let's get down to some of the stories around Ataa Ayi.
Yes, the stories we've been hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's no doubt that Ataa Ayi was notorious, like a very hardened criminal. The fact that they used to do robberies with guns at the time, 1998, 1999, people were not used to that kind of level of crime. Mind you, there are several accounts from journalists and grown people that see a lot of the crimes, the thievery and robbery in Ghana were not to this level until, see, in 1983, when the Ghanaians who had gone to Nigeria were deported, they came back. I think, somehow some Ghanaians are going to learn the ways of Nigeria and then kind of like started moving along those lines over here, right? Mind you, as for Nigeria, they had seen criminals like this that long time.
Right.
Anini and all of these people were there. Okay. One day we'll probably talk about the story of Anini. And you realize that, and I'm not trying to weigh their crimes, but if you weigh the crimes of Anini and
Ataa Ayi,
you realize that Anini was a terrorist.
Wow.
This guy was a robber. He was a freaking armed robber. Ataa Ayi is who I'm talking about. He was an armed robber, but he wasn't. Mind you, for someone like Anini, he was publicly known as, he was feared, publicly known and feared. He just wasn't he just wasn't able to be arrested. Ataa Ayi was a normal, common taxi driver who did robbery as a side. So people did not even know him as a robber. It wasn't like he would come out and say, "Hey, I'm Ataa Ayi, me ba munjane." So there's no doubt he was notorious, but it pushed into question. And let me look in the camera and say this: where we've got into, whatever idea or stories you have about Ataa Ayi, again, settle down and then just hear me out. I need us as grown people to decipher these stories that you've heard.
Okay.
Let's not do when I was growing up I heard blah 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 and I was traumatized. The fact that your grandmother or your parents used to say, "Hey, Ataa Ayi," and used to run away doesn't mean some of the stories you heard were right.
Okay. Right.
So coming back to some of these stories, we heard that Ataa Ayi used to vanish, and he had juju.
If you touch the wall,
Yes,
the
they will
police
vanish.
will be chasing him.
Men will
Then
touch
you
the wall,
touch
but
the
they
wall,
will
they will
vanish.
vanish. Then police will not see him again.
Yes. Ataa Ayi did have juju. He had gone. He used to go to some parts of the northern Ghana and even somewhere here in Accra to fortify himself. At the time, he believed it was working because he was not caught. But here's the thing. He was not able to vanish.
Okay.
Now I will explain why, and I want us to break things down and think as adults, and just use our brain to decipher stuff.
Okay.
When Ataa Ayi was arrested, he did not have any talisman or amulet around his neck. But when the police presented him, and there are pictures of him that had talisman around his neck. Now let me ask you, this is a guy who supposedly people will argue that, oh, when he was arrested, he did not have the amulet, that's why he wasn't able to vanish. But when he was arrested, the amulet was put around his neck. If that amulet happened to work, or for real, he used to vanish when he had that, why would the police put that thing around his neck? And why didn't he vanish around that time when he had been caught? I want us to think about this carefully.
Some people too believe that there's mercury in handcuff. So if they put the handcuff on you, no matter the juju you have, you can't vanish. I've heard that story too.
So let's break it down again. So let's say this is true, right? So this powerful malams or whatever who do this medicine, don't they know that mercury can mess up their juju for them to find a way around it? It just doesn't make sense. Now, let me link it to the story of Akpo when he was arrested and taken to the Nkoko police station. When he was arrested, I've already told you, guns were put in front of him and an amulet was put around him.
Okay. So that means the police people, they had that thing already.
It was like a photo op.
Yeah, they just put it on him so that the pictures would look like her.
It was like a photo op. And mind you, another thing I want people to think about. So this is a guy who, Ataa Ayi, who have come to believe that he has powers and blah, 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 and so he cannot be caught. The police are looking for him since 2021 or so. He's casually in Nungwa without any protection, any amulet, any juju, any bansri, just moving around. Bro, again, I want us to think about this. Also, you might have heard stories. Oh, he was a good driver. There's a tale that he reversed a car from Achimota to Circle or whatever. Bro,
I've heard that story before.
Reverse,
full speed reverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need people to be real. Look, yes, there was an instance where the police tried to accost him where like he ran away with a car, but the story that he reversed a car at top speed, 100 kilometers per hour. Do you know 100 kilometers per hour?
In reverse.
Bro, do you know 100 kilometers per hour? Because our roads weren't even that good for that thing to happen. So again, I need people to analyze things carefully.
Okay.
One thing too is that we heard stories that he was a killer, blah, blah, blah.
He killed children.
Blah, blah, blah. Now, there is an incident that happened in, I think, 2004, I believe. It involved 2 Japanese men. They also trailed them from the bank also. Ataa Ayi and his gang traded them for the bank and then took their money. I think it was 144 million at the time. So that's like 14,400 cedis in Ghana cedis. And in the struggle with them, one of the Japanese men, whose name was, I think, Modisuki or so, he was shot and died. Now, the only incidents recorded or documented that involved any killing in relation to any of Ataa Ayi's crimes is that case.
Okay.
And he was not shot by Ataa Ayi. Now, another thing I want people to think about. Ataa Ayi was the getaway driver because he was the chief driver. He wasn't the one who go and hey, bring a gun and blah blah blah. So there's little probability that he was going to use a gun to shoot, because the guns were given to those who went for the cash.
Yeah.
So yes, the idea that he killed and blah blah blah. If you know anyone, any single person who was killed, it's not that you've heard.
Yeah.
If you personally know anyone that Ataa Ayi killed, you can put it in the comments.
Not that you've heard.
Not that you've heard.
Yes.
Because we all heard stuff.
Right.
We all heard stuff. I need people to know that. And one day we'll talk about this man. But do people know that Dr. Beckley was never convicted for any killing? That man was never jailed. So I need us to rethink about some of the stories we've heard.
So most of the is it PMP?
PMP helped in making some of these things crazy.
Yeah, very scary.
Very scary.
Yeah.
I am not saying they are not guilty of a crime or they did not do anything. But I'm saying that some of the stuff we've heard over time were not necessarily true.
Okay.
Just a few days ago, there's a young lady on Twitter who posted that, oh, he used to be a man proby and blah, 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 and Ataa Ayi killed kids, blah, blah, blah. Bro, there isn't a single documented incident against Ataa Ayi that he killed even outdoors for him to even kill kids. Again, if you have anyone personally who died in the hands or the gunshot of Ataa Ayi, you can put it in the comments. But I want, again, let's come back and let's do a little reality check again.
Okay.
So, at the time that Ataa Ayi was being chased and he had a ransom on his head, by the way, about 20 million Ghana cedi.
20
million Ghana cedis, yes, at the time.
That time wasn't Ghana
It was,
cedis.
it was 20 million cedis. Yes. Yeah. Crazy amount at the time. So, this guy is caught. It is assumed that he used to be a killer and had killed people. Do you think? And at the time, ACP Kofi Boakye was not joking. Bro, that man was moving. At the time, he was the Accra Regional Commander, Accra Regional Police Commander. And Ataa Ayi has said, oh, there are some crimes that they leveled on him that he didn't do. And I believe it. Mind you, bro, in even recent years after Ataa Ayi's case, Sexy Don Don, whose case we've covered, there are crimes that were put on him.
Really?
There are crimes that were put on him. There are cases that even Apo, Apo, who was the mechanic who was arrested and eventually acquitted because the judges found 3 Supreme Court judges sat down and said, oh, they realized there wasn't enough evidence against him, should tell you that the police used to manipulate some of these things. I need people to understand that. So this guy who supposedly had killed plenty people or many people in his crimes or in his robberies, somehow they take him to court and there isn't a single charge of murder against him.
So what was he charged for?
He was charged for robbery and conspiracy to commit robbery.
Okay.
That's it.
No murder.
No murder.
Conspiracy.
There's not even a manslaughter charge level against him.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that for a fact, if he did it, they would have found one to put around his neck. Even the Japanese one.
Yeah.
The Japanese man who was deceased during his robbery.
Right. But it wasn't put on him. Was it put on the other guys?
In fact, I don't know about that, but all I know is that there wasn't a single charge of murder against him.
Okay.
Because again, this guy used to be the getaway driver.
Okay.
He rarely would have the chance to go and face someone to even take their money. Some of the crimes too, he was a mastermind. Now, let me go back and talk about this Akpo case where I said this guy was arrested in 2002, but in 2003, in the crime that Ataa Ayi and some of the gang committed in 2003, somehow his name came up. That should tell you. That should tell you that they were just putting names anywhere.
Okay.
So yes, I know Ataa Ayi is a criminal, blah blah blah, and he lied. Yeah, initially when he was caught, he was said, "Oh, he did not do anything. It's not his name is not Ataa Ayi, blah blah blah." Yes, he's a criminal. He's a liar. But I need people to calm down and decipher things.
Right.
So again, that story of him vanishing,
a
it can't
lie.
be true. Just based on logic explanation that I've given you right now. If you put 2 and 2 together, he could have vanished anytime if that thing was real. And like, so let me ask you, around the time that he was arrested in his house, in his sister's house, the police came to him, asked him, "Are you Ataa Ayi?" Around that time, because they had not held him before. And they did not even shoot him. He was never shot before.
Are you Ataa Ayi?
He says, yes, or he touch a wall and bounce. Yes.
There you go.
He could touch a wall and bounce.
Okay.
So yes, his story, some of his stories are not to be believed. But when you put 2 and 2 together and try and be logical about certain things, and just based on how these people were moving, you realize that some of the stories will make sense.
Okay.
When Akbar was arrested, and he went to point out Nanaya and all these other people, right? Eventually, he said that when Ataa Ayi was arrested, Ataa Ayi was angry with him because Ataa Ayi believed at the time that he was the one
who snitched
for him to be caught. Hey, he found a way to explain things to him and that. But you know, Ataa Ayi was tortured together with Nanaya Ousu, who initially said Akpa was part of them. Ataa Ayi too was tortured to say that Akpa was part of them.
Oh.
Meanwhile, this guy was just a mechanic who just used to fix their motor. He did not even know they were criminal masterminds. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is that you may want to believe the stories you heard, some of the stories the police said, but the police at the time were not to be trusted. Bro, even now that even now currently, there are stories that come out from the police that we know that is not true.
Okay.
We were here when several years ago, I think in Kumasi, they went to shoot some young men in Asawasi that they said they were robbers. It came out that it wasn't true. So Ataa Ayi used to kill people, blah, blah, blah. Yes, the fact that he used to be traumatized by Ataa Ayi does not mean that the things you heard about him was true.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't also take away the fact that he was a criminal, a serious armed robber. One that he himself has said over time that yes, he was a serious armed robber. He used to rob people with guns. He had a gang. He used to mastermind robberies. Like there are some of them, they will come and see him, boss. Then you give them ideas, or sometimes you tell them this person is coming here, or I've heard this hint, or I've been given this tip of blah blah blah. Because in the case of Dora, Madame Dora Kumi, who they took the dollars from, it was his brother, her own brother who gave the tip to Sammy Tuga.
Oh, okay.
That his sister had money and I think the sister was stingy or whatever, and she would be going to this place around this time, blah blah blah.
Okay.
You see?
Okay. Yeah.
So that is mainly and basically the story of Ataa Ayi.
So far, what year did he go to prison?
He was into since 2005.
2005.
But he was officially jailed in 2006.
Okay, so that means 2025 he has done
it's now like 19 years
19
or
years, almost 20 years out of the 160.
Yes, at a point, I think in about 2014. In 2014 actually, he became like the leader of the prisoners or whatever, like a spokesperson for the prisoners or whatever.
Okay.
He's very revered in prison because of the name,
the reputation
he had us. Yeah, because like at the time, you would not hear anyone with such a legend, a legendary story.
And I hear he has changed. Like he has rehabilitated. He's now a Christian or he preaches or something like that.
He's talked about how he changed. He said that there used to be a church that used to come around the prison to come and talk to them and stuff like that. And mind you, at the time when he was arrested, his wife too was also arrested. but obviously, they figured she wasn't part of it, and she was left. But when Ataa Ayi spoke to the media, his wife was also spoken to by the media, and she explained she did not know and all of that, and she explained how she got to meet him. In 2002, when they had gone to Tamale, the wife was pregnant with the first child.
Okay.
And then when he was arrested too, I think she had another child or so. So the daughter is on TikTok. I think a fear lover, whatever, who puts.
Yeah, I've seen her
yeah.
posting Ataa Ayi's
Yeah,
videos.
she posted a
She
video.
even wished them Father's Day.
Yeah. It's the same with Apo. Apo 2 has a very beautiful daughter who posted him when he came out of jail, and I think there's a video where he and Namwa went to some lunch or dinner or whatever. So all these people have had their children in when they were accosted.
So in the case of Akpo, would the state give him anything?
It's something they can probably file for.
Okay.
But as to whether he will win or not, that's another thing.
For wrongful conviction and stuff.
It happened. I mean, obviously,
they should give him 10 million Ghana
but
cedis.
He has been asked several times about. He said the fact that he has his life alone is enough for him. And I think when he was in jail, he used to service the motor and cars of some of the prisons staff. So he actually had like a small station in Nsawam, because he became a cell leader too there. He became a leader in his cell.
Okay.
So what he's been asking for is that people help him set up his shop back, because he used to have his own shop when he was arrested. He was arrested when he was about 24 or so.
Wow.
And then when he was going to jail, his daughter was about a few months old. Right. So that's what he's really asking for. There have been stories about how Ataa Ayi getting pardon and clemency and whatever. For me, in my opinion, I don't think that will happen. I think every president would not want to sacrifice their reputation because some prisoner has changed.
Okay.
I don't think it will happen. Because of the notoriety. I mean, this guy, regardless of whatever I've said now, it doesn't change the fact that people feared him.
And people still fear him.
Right? So I don't think he will ever come out. 160 years is a lot.
Yeah, it's a whole lot.
It's a whole lot. There's no way. There's no way. And I don't think there will be any appeal to fight for any of the crimes that he was sentenced for. But he has said over time that some of the crimes that happened were put on him. And again, for someone who's followed a lot of cases in Ghana, I believe him. Because around the time, bro, if any other criminal had any sort of MO, just like Ataa Ayi, where they used to rob people from their cars, they will eventually attribute it to him. And also, it is also one of the reasons why his name grew across the length of the breadth of Ghana, because almost every crime that had that MO, where people were snatching from people from the bank or whatever, were attributed to him. Okay. So, hey, Ataa Ayi. I bet you that some of the old people who told us to fear him did not even have any experience, personal experience, or even indirect experience. They did not even, in their own area, they did not even hear that Ataa Ayi
has done anything there.
Right? But again, the way his name went by, and it wasn't like now that the social media where some facts can be immediately, come out for people to, say it's not true or not.
Those days, unless graphic.
Yes, and PMP, the way PMP will blast these things.
Yes, or maybe GTV, TV3, and some.
The way PMP will blast it, you would believe it. Right, so
PMP, their stories, Charlie.
And if PMP came out to tell you that Ataa Ayi has reversed a car at top speed, 100 kilometers per hour to evade police arrest,
you will believe.
Oh, you believe.
Yeah,
you believe. So, again, all I'm ending with is that there's not a doubt that Ataa Ayi was a serial robber, and he was a violent robber because they used to shoot, at least with him and his gang, they used to shoot, sometimes they would fire guns. they will fire guns. Sometimes they will even fire at the cars. But I'm saying that there isn't a single, unless anyone has any personal experience. Yeah. And I'm saying this based on just legal documents and facts of surrounding his case. That there isn't a single body, deceased body, old or young, that has been attributed to Ataa Ayi as being a victim of Ataa Ayi in relation to death.
Right. Okay.
Don't come to the comment and tell us, oh, my uncle, his friend was son was killed by Ataa Ayi, blah, 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 because for all you know, you've been told. For all you know, some robbery happened that got that person killed, and it was believed that it was Ataa Ayi. Because again, if it had happened, I am telling you on authority that the way they were trying to nail that guy, they would have found one, at least one,
to nail him. Okay, all right. Now, let's just go to this side small. Now that Justice Bafo-Boni has given his reason for giving him that 70 years instead of, let's say, 30 years and stuff like that, do you think it's grounds for all Justice Bafo-Boni's cases to be open, including Ataa Ayi's, this, and so that they can revisit these cases?
I mean, as a non-lawyer, I really have little to say about this.
Okay.
Because, yes, there's a discretion bit where judges can apply to. I think the problem is, I mean, because even for robbery, and for the kind of robberies he did, there's a maximum sentence to up to even life imprisonment, right? And he gave him 70. I think the problem and the reason why people are talking about it is that he openly came to say, oh, it's because I feared that he might come and blah, blah, blah. But legally, I have little opinion about it, to be honest. And I don't think it's even a cause to review his sentences.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cause to review his sentences.
Okay.
Yeah, people are look at this case blah, and think, oh, but you know, he jailed him because of his personal experience, blah blah blah. I've seen arguments on Twitter and stuff. Everyone seems to be making, especially the lawyers, most of them are making a lot of reasonable case arguments just based on the law. That yeah, he shouldn't have said that, and there's a set rule for judges to follow. You can say that, oh, this crimes that you've committed is very serious and you are a canker to the society, and for that I'm jailing you, blah blah blah. Right? I don't even think during his sentence he said, yeah, I am jailing you because I fear that. So usually they will take a look at what he said during the sentencing.
Right.
And I'm not sure he said that in the sentencing. So it's still okay. And to be honest, no one is calling for this guy to be released or for his sentencing years to come down. Bro, I need people to be reasonable and argue according to the story or the debate on the ground.
Yeah.
If anyone says, oh, what the man said was wrong, it doesn't mean the person wants Ataa Ayi out. It doesn't mean the person supports Ataa Ayi. But you see, sometimes when some of these cases come, people want to think that, oh, why are you taking some? But yo, you have to think about it in the light that there are people, an innocent man can be put through trial, and a judge can sit there and say, someone raped my daughter, and because someone raped my daughter and you have been accused of raping this man's daughter, I am jailing you for 60 years.
Right.
You see, and that is what has been the issue. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So that's all I got to say. I think he deserves to be where he is. But really, some of the tales that we've heard about this guy, we have to tone down.
All right. Thank you very much, bro. And this is one of the stories that the people have been requesting
for.
This one, Ataa Ayi's case, and also Dr. Beckley's
Dr. Beckley will
case.
tackle. But I am giving you a free, what's the name? When a movie is coming out and people give hints already.
Spoiler.
I'm giving you a spoiler that the man was never sentenced for any of these supposed serial killings that he was killing children and there was
all right.
Still out there.
Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Make sure you share the video so that others will find it. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notification. Crime de la Crime, Very soon we'll be on Spotify, on Apple Music, on all the other places that you've been requesting. Don't worry at all. We're still working on it. Yes. I'm Headless YouTuber and
Taylor Marik.
yeah. Until next week, crime de la crime, yeah, Fefe Nyomim. Yeah, day.
Yeah, pong.